Hello, you four, and welcome to our art lessons for the next 2 weeks. We have got 5 art lessons to do, and my name is Mrs. Aston, and you may have already met me because I've done the English and the maths lessons as well. And I usually work at the Southampton Hospital School. And this is our very first art lesson together. So let me share my screen with you, and I'll show you what we're going to be doing over the course of the 5 lessons. So this is lesson 1. And this is a picture called Surprised by an artist called Henry Rousseau. And we're going to be finding out about him during our unit. Let's see what else we're going to be finding out about, shall we? So we're going to be learning about the artist Henry Rousseau and his artwork. And the reason we're going to be doing that is, if you remember when we started our English unit, if you've already done that, we're doing a unit on community. And Henry Rousseau draws paints lots of pictures to do with the rainforest community or jungle community. So we're going to be looking at that. And he also had quite a few issues with the community in which he lived as well. So we're going to be having a look at him. And we are going to be using the tool of a pencil. So just a simple pencil for all 5 sessions, because it's nice and easy for you to find at home. And I'm sure everybody can find a pencil at home. And we're going to be finding out all the different things a pencil can achieve. So we're going to be developing the control of your pencil and finding out how to use it in different ways. And then we're going to be looking at some elements of art. So we're going to be looking at the elements of line, shape, tone, and space. And we're going to be finding out lots of vocabulary linked with those that we can use when we're talking about artwork. And finally, right at the end of our unit, you're going to produce a pencil drawing of a rainforest inspired by the work of Henry Rousseau. So we're going to be looking at Henry Rousseau's work, and you're going to create your own picture of whatever aspect of the rainforest you want to. So that's how the whole unit will work. How's each lesson going to work? Well, we're going to start with a fun warm-up task. We are then going to listen a little bit to me showing you how to do some of the key elements and to understand what the key elements in art are. And then you're going to try a task linked to the key elements. And then we're going to be looking at some paintings and sketches by Rousseau at the end and finding out about his life. So we've got 5 parts to most lessons. Let's see what we're doing today then. So today our key art element is line, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a minute. We are going to be experimenting with using our pencil. We're going to show different ways of drawing lines with our pencil, and we're going to find out a little bit about Henry Rousseau, the artist. And this is a quote here from another artist called Albert Giacometti. And he says, if we master a bit of drawing, everything else is possible. So what he's saying is, if you can get good at drawing first, then all the other kinds of arts are much easier to do, because lots of them rely on drawing to start off with. So what do you need for today's lesson? All you need is plain paper, just normal plain paper, and a simple pencil. It doesn't have to be a drawing pencil, it just can be the normal pencil you use for your schoolwork. No special pencils, just a plain ordinary pencil. That's all that you need. So press pause and go and make sure you've got those 2 things, and then come back and we'll start the lesson. Right. Our first activity is a do activity. So you're going to need to do something. You're going to need a pencil and you're going to need your paper. And this activity is called the anatomy of a pencil. There are some fantastic activities on the website called Access Art, which is a charity that tries to encourage children to get involved in art. And this is going to make you really think about how to use the pencil as a tool. We don't really think of pencil as a tool, do we? But it's a tool for creating marks and lines. And we're going to have a go at doing that now. So get your pencil and your paper ready. Right, so we've got our pencil, we've got our paper. I want you to think about the paper as a place that your pencil is going to go on a journey on. So your pencil is going to travel all the way around this piece of paper, okay? Normally, I expect your teachers to talk a lot about making sure you have what's called a tripod grip, where you have 3 parts of your hand touching the pencil, and you hold it right at this end so that it's very easy to control. Today, we're going to hold it in a totally different way. We're going to hold our pencil right at the top, and I want you to hold it so it's kind of wiggly and gently dangling from your fingers, okay? And we're going to start, you can start on your piece of paper wherever you want. There's no right and wrong here because we're experimenting. And you're just going to move your pencil around, but trying to make sure that you're holding it right at the end and you're really dangling your pencil. So you've got a very light grip on it. And we're going to try and make some very gentle marks. Some of the marks might be so gentle that you can't even see them. So you're going to start wherever you like, and you're just going to move your pencil around the page. Okay, and you can see it's almost impossible to see my lines because they're so gentle. Okay, keep moving your pencil around, holding it in that position. I'm now going to say some words, and I want you to think about what those words make your pencil do. So I want you to keep moving your pencil. We're going to hold, still have it on the end, and we're going to move it around. So I want you to flick. I want you to tap your pencil. I want you to pirouette your pencil. Pirouette's like a ballet dancer does when they spin round. So you might go pirouette your pencil. And I want you to drop your pencil. Okay, so I'm going to say those words again, and holding the very end of your pencil, you're just going to move your pencil around the page. Okay, here we go. Flick, tap, pirouette, and drop. I wonder what your pencil marks look like. Every single person's is going to look totally different. Okay, we're staying on the same piece of paper. It doesn't matter how much of a mesh your piece of paper is, because we're going to be experimenting today. So it's not about being really neat, it's just about trying things out. Right, this time you're going to grab hold of your pencil in your fist, and you're going to hold it really tightly, and you're going to push really hard. Okay, we're going to start really hard, and then we're going to start gradually releasing the pressure. So we're going to start with a really hard line, and we're going to move across the page, and as we move across the page, we're going to gradually reduce the amount of pressure. And you can see mine started really dark, and as I've moved along the page, it's become less and less pressure. So have a go at that now. It doesn't have to be a straight line, it can be a wiggly line that goes all over the place. I want you to start with a really hard pressure on your pencil, keeping it all the time in that fist grip. So here we go, off we go. I want you to go, and I want you to drag your pencil. I want you to strike your pencil. I want you to jig your pencil, go all the way over the page, whatever you think's right for that part. Okay, next thing we're going to do, these are all just really quick activities. We're going to lay our pencil horizontally, so from left to right across our paper, okay, and we're going to hold it, and we're going to be traveling it in this direction. So rather than having it up vertical, we're going to have the pencil horizontal. And I want you to produce some really nice gentle lines now. So we're going to move our pencil across, and we're going to relax, and we're going to gently move it. We're going to push it. We're going to pull it. We're going to zigzag it. And we're going to make it melt away. However you want to move it. Let's try that again. I'm not going to do mine this time. I want you just to move your pencil horizontally across the page from left to right, making sure your pencil is facing left to right. Are you ready? Relax, and off you go. Move it gently. Make it flow. Push your pencil, pull your pencil, zigzag your pencil, and make it melt away. Okay, another grip now. So we've still got our pencil horizontally, but this time we're going to take our finger and we're going to put it as if it's part of the very point of the pencil. So there's going to be lots of pressure on this part of the pencil. Okay, so you can see my finger is totally covering up the end of the pencil. You can't see it. Start anywhere on your page again. I'm going to start over here this time. Okay, and every time I say stop, I want you to dig your pencil into the paper. And then I'm going to say go, and I want you to move your pencil around again, okay? So this time we're really thinking about that pressure every time I say stop. So guide your pencil around and stop. Guide your pencil around and stop. Guide your pencil around and stop. Okay, you need to be quite careful with your pencil that you don't snap the end of it. Mine nearly snapped then. So just make sure that you've got it nice and firmly on your page. Are you ready? Let's have another go at that. So finger right on the tip of the pencil. Here we go. So move around and stop. And press and stop. And meander. Can you meander like a river? And stop. And slip and stop. And I'm sure, like me now, you will have all different kinds of lines all over your piece of paper. Some of them are really dark, so I've got some darker lines here. I've got some very faint lines that you can probably hardly see on the camera. And that's what your piece of paper should look like. We're just experimenting. There's nothing wrong. We're just playing with that pencil and seeing how we can control it in different ways. Right, you can carry on doing that for a few minutes if you want, and then join me back for the next part of the lesson. Who knew a pencil could do so many different things and you could hold it in so many different ways? The lovely thing about art with a pencil is there is no right way of holding your pencil in art. Every way creates a different type of line, so you can experiment and try all different ones. Right, let's have a look and find out about the element of line in art now. So lines are really important. They're one of the most basic things, and you find lines in virtually every kind of piece of artwork. So this is a very famous artist called Paul Klee, and he said, a line is a dot that went for a walk. So a line is a connection between 2 points. So it's got a starting point and it's got an ending point. And the journey between that start and ending point doesn't matter. It's still a line. So we can use lines to sketch, we can use them to draw, we can use them to outline things. When we're thinking about line, we can think about the weight of a line. So we can think about how light or dark the line is. And we saw that, didn't we, depending on how much pressure we put on our pencil. We talk about things called contour lines, and they're lines to show the outside of an object. So they're a bit like, you might think of them as the outline to something. So they're called contour lines. Most marks that you make on a page are some kind of line, except for a dot, okay, because that doesn't go anywhere. But everything else, every time you're moving your pencil from one place to another, that's a line. And also, we can use lines to make people feel different things. So perhaps if we use a really jaggedy line and a really fast movement with our pencil, that would make somebody feel maybe quite angry or quite worried. If we used a very gentle sweeping line, that might make you feel a bit more relaxed when you look at it. So lines can even create emotions in us. So they're pretty powerful things, these lines, aren't they? So we're going to have a try now at doing some different kinds of line. I'm going to show you some examples of some lines first, and then you're going to experiment with these lines, okay? So we'll have a look at what I'm doing first, and then I will bring this slide back up and you're going to try yourselves. Okay, so I want you to take your piece of paper and I want you to fold your piece of paper in half. And then I want you to take that piece of paper and I want you to fold it in half again. And then I want you to take that and I want you to fold it in half again. And then when you open it up, you should end up with 8 sections on your piece of paper. Have you managed to do that? Have you got your 8 sections? Okay, we're going to look at 5 different kinds of line to start off with. So the first line we're going to start off with is a vertical line. And a vertical line goes from top to bottom. Okay, so a vertical line travels from top to bottom. And you can see how you can try a number of times and see how straight you can get that line. You can try doing your vertical line using different techniques. So you could lay your pencil down like we were just doing at the start, and you could draw a line and see how straight you can get that line. You could try doing different thicknesses of vertical lines. So you, rather than just going down once, we could colour along it and make that line a bit thicker and make it travel all the way down quite thickly. So there are all different ways that you can experiment with those vertical lines. The next kind of line we're going to look at is a horizontal line. So a horizontal line goes from left to right. So a horizontal line going across the page. And again, we can push hard, make the line thick, or we can press very gently. I might try that one where we lay the pencil down. And we're going to go across. Can you see how gentle that line is? You can hardly see it. The next kind of line we've got is a diagonal line. And a diagonal line travels left to right and up and down at the same time. So it goes across in a diagonal line. So we've started on the left, we've travelled across the page and down the page at the same time. And again, we can experiment with different diagonal lines. We've then got a type of line called a zigzag line. A zigzag line uses this diagonal line, but it joins lots of diagonal lines together. So we can go diagonal, change direction, diagonal, change direction, diagonal, change direction, diagonal, change direction, diagonal, change direction. And we've got a diagonal line. We've then got something called a curved line. So we've got a curve that changes direction, but the change of direction is gradual. It's not as harsh as that zigzag line. It's a very gentle change in direction. Okay, so that's called a curved line. Once we've got those, we can experiment with all sorts of lines. So we can take our curve and we can do all sorts of things with that curve. So we might take our curve and we might just keep going round and gradually getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and creating a spiral. We might take our curved line and make a wavy line. We may take our curved line and loop it each time. Can you see how I'm still using just a curved line? Okay, but I'm continuing that line and I'm changing direction and it's producing different kinds of lines. So I'm going to show you now a list of all those different kinds of lines, and I just want you to experiment. I want a different kind of line in each box, and you can experiment with different amounts of pressure each time. Let's have a look at those lines. Okay, let's have a look at those different kinds of lines, shall we? So we had the 5 main lines. So we had the vertical, up and down, horizontal going across, diagonal where you travel across and up and down at the same time. Then we had zigzag, then we had curved, okay? And then we talked about variations. So we could make those lines long or short, we could make them thick or thin, we could make them dark or light by the amount of pressure that we put on our pencil. We could turn that curved line into a spiral, or we could turn the curved line into a curly line or a wavy line, or we could make the line continuous or broken. If I use my pen from a distance here, a continuous line means it just keeps going, okay? A broken line means we start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. So we've got a broken line. We can also use something called hatching. I'm using a felt tip pen here, but you're going to do all in pencil because it's I want you to use a pencil. It's hard to see the pencil from a distance on here, which is why I'm using a felt pen. So hatching is where we do lots of lines in one direction close together. And cross hatching is where we change the direction. So we have this line and then we do lines across as well. Okay, and we've got cross hatching. So that's cross hatching. So I want you to experiment now, just with your 8 sections. I want a different type of line in each section and a different type of length. You can experiment. So you have loads of different lines in one section. So you might do all vertical lines in one section, but those vertical lines might be long and short or continuous or broken, and you're just going to cover your page in lines. Off you go. How did you get on? Have you got a page covered in lines? I hope so. Hopefully you've got some that are thick, some that are thin, some that are dark, some that are light. I wonder which one's your favourite. Which section of your page are you really pleased with? What is it about those lines that you really like? Right, let's carry on now, shall we, with the rest of our lesson. So, this is an example of a drawing by Van Gogh. And this drawing, you can see, is made up of lines. Which lines do you like? Can you see any of those type of lines on the example that you've done? Which ones do you think don't work as well? I wonder, you can see here all sorts of lines, can't you? So there are some curved lines here. I can see some much straighter lines here. I can see some cross hatching going on over here where he's changed the direction. And these ones are curved again, aren't they, over here? So you can see how artists really use their pencil in lots of different ways to create lots of different lines. Right, we're going to find out about an artist now. I promised you we'd find out about Rousseau and his life and work, didn't I? So this is Henry Rousseau, and he is a very famous painter. Often when we study Rousseau, we look at colour because he's very famous for his colour, but he also spent a lot of time drawing, and he won awards at school for his drawing way before anybody recognised him for his painting. But he's mainly well known for his painting, and they describe him as being very naive, and they think about him as a post-impressionist painter. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in our later lessons. His highest priced painting sold for $2,882,500 US, which is just over £2 million. So he's clearly a very talented artist, or what we now see as a very talented artist. Over the course of the next lessons, we're going to be exploring this book, which is a book all about his life, and we'll find out a bit more about him, and we're going to see all sorts of his paintings. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're also tomorrow going to look at the key element of shape. So we're going to move our lines into forming shapes tomorrow. So keep practicing. The more you practice with your pencil, the better you'll become. Try out all those different lines. Maybe fold up your paper again, take another piece of paper and see if you can create another different kind of line. Off you go. Well done for today. You've worked really hard. I will see you in lesson 2 of art later in the week. Goodbye for now.